Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton. You know, as I look at this declassified information, what it shows, and correct me if I'm not reading this right, please correct me, that they had an intelligence assessment. They had it. And that assessment was clear even going into December, like 5-6 weeks after the election in 2016, that there was no Trump-Russia collusion at all. And yet they didn't like the intelligence community assessment, so they came up with another one, according to Tulsi Gabbard, ordered by then President Barack Obama himself, in spite of, senior top intelligence community members saying, don't do this. We have the right intelligence. It didn't happen. And then they flipped it on its head. They corrupted it. They polluted it. And they totally, completely changed the narrative from the truth to an absolute lie. Does that pretty much sum it up?
I think that's the long and the short of it, Sean. For years, the Democrats screamed collusion falsely about Donald Trump and Russia. And as you say, there was collusion. Collusion between Obama and Biden and Clinton, Brennan, Comey, Clapper, to brush under the rug the judgments of these career intelligence officials that there's no evidence of collusion whatsoever. And then to put it out through surreptitious means to the American people as a way to undermine the legitimacy of Donald Trump's historic victory in 2016. The American people deserve to know exactly what happened, and the DNI and the CIA and the FBI should continue to put out as much information as possible, as quickly as possible, so the American people can know exactly what happened.
Then we have the FBI, Kash Patel, announcing that he's opened up a grand conspiracy. And the grand conspiracy is that cinder blocks, he's arguing, have been placed on the scales of elections, and cinder blocks and weights put on the office of the presidency under Donald Trump. You go to 2020, they know it's a very real laptop of Hunter Biden. They verify its authenticity in March of 2020. They go on a campaign the FBI does to pre-bunk that laptop, knowing Bob Costello, Rudy's attorney, has a copy of it, that it will likely get leaked before the election. And they're telling big tech companies, you might be a victim of disinformation. They're meeting with them weekly. And then sure enough, in October of 2020, there's the laptop story in the New York Post. Then those same big tech companies ask the FBI, is it true? And they come back with no answer when they had verified its authenticity. Are they putting cinder blocks on elections? Is there really this big, deep state that we believe exists, that I have believed a long time exists, that is trying to impact this country with power and authority that they do not have, and they are undermining the American people?
Well, I think what you've seen for 10 years now is Democrats elected to office or permanent bureaucrats trying to undermine President Trump. It continued after 2020, Sean. Let's remember the Lawfare conducted against President Trump as a candidate. Indictments in New York City and Georgia by Jack Smith, an overzealous prosecutor appointed by Merrick Garland, Joe Biden's handpicked attorney general. At every turn since Donald Trump's rise in public office, since the campaign started in 2015, they've taken these efforts. Now, I don't want to paint with too broad a brush. The information that was released just this week shows that the real persons responsible here were not career bureaucrats in the fall of 2016. They were the ones that were ringing the alarm bells. They were the ones that were saying that what Jim Brennan and what Jim Comey had tried, or John Brennan and Jim Comey had tried to do, was not in keeping with the standards of analysis at the FBI or the CIA. We don't know their names, we may never know, but they were the ones who were calling out Brennan and Comey and ultimately Obama for wrongdoing here, and now the American people know that.
Well, the rank and file, the career intelligence people, I would argue, are the ones that got it right, and the deep state actors are their bosses, which, took that information, didn't like the result, and they corrupted and polluted it. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think that's very fair, Sean. And I know a lot of Democrats who are critics of Tulsi Gabbard or John Ratcliffe or Kash Patel say, well, they have a political background, this is all politicized. Let's remember that just a few weeks ago, the CIA conducted its own review of that intelligence community assessment after the 2016 election. That review was done by career CIA officials, and they reached the exact same conclusions that the report Tulsi Gabbard release reached, which is that John Brennan and Jim Comey and other of the senior Democrats, maybe up to and including Barack Obama, were the ones who had politicized the intelligence, who were suppressing information designed to put Donald Trump in the worst possible false light and to delegitimize his presidency from the beginning. That's why it's so important that we get as much information out as possible, as quickly as possible, so the American people know once and for all exactly what was happening under Barack Obama's watch.
All right, Senator Cotton, always good to have you. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you, sir.